Welcome to Week 5 of King Spotlight. We are once again joined by Monarch head football coach Jeff Knarr. Coach, thanks for being with us again this week.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, another huge Mid-Atlantic Conference game this week as your Monarchs travel to Reading to face defending MAC champion Albright College. But before we get to that game, let's review last week's game, an exciting 21-17 homecoming win over Lebanon Valley College. Coach, first off, we have to talk about that game day atmosphere. We had a huge crowd, and the team had to be pumped up to see all those stands packed. What kind of an impact did the Kings fans and alumni have on the game?
I mean, it makes it electric when you get a big crowd, you get a band, especially the size of the band of Valley West, and they're a very good band. I'm playing. I took my headset off, and you're trying to communicate to the players. Usually, you can yell things out there, and they couldn't hear you because it was so loud and noisy, and just the atmosphere around with the homecoming. Festivities in the tents and everything, and people coming and going to the game. So, and kids could feed off of that because there was a lot of energy, inside the stadium, which was great to see.
Moving on to the game itself, it was a tale of two halves against Lebanon Valley, as we were able to move the ball and score 21 points in the first half, including that late score right before the halftime buzzer. But we also left some scoring chances on the table. How did you see that first half, and was there any frustration about not being able to put more points up on the board when there were opportunities?
You always frustrated when you shoot yourself in the foot, or you're the cause of not be able to get points there. But we felt at that point in time we were moving the ball pretty well. Just had to continue to do that, and doing a good job on defense. So things were unfolding the way we thought they were in that half, and we just needed to clean some things up moving into the second half.
In the second half, we had a much more difficult time moving the ball, and Albright had two golden opportunities to take the lead. But two key fourth down stops by our defense kept us in the lead. Talk about the character of that defense to get those two stops, and also that last possession, we were able to keep the ball on offense and run out the last 3:41 by getting two huge first downs. Yeah,
I mean, that was huge. And then, like we told the kids, we kind of saw them, that maturity that we've talked about, they felt this team is a little bit more, focused, understood the details, kind of understood that there's each play has a history of itself. That came to fruition, on Saturday, because we gave up some plays to get Leval down there, but then when it was time to make a play, our defense did that. They didn't allow any past circumstances affect the current, situation. They just, kept playing and realized, hey, now we got to make a play, and then they did, and that was great to see. And then, again, we were down there knocking on the door. We go for it to try to get points. We don't. We're backed up. Sometimes in the past, we haven't been able to get out of our end zone. We got a punt from there and give them great opportunity again. And now with 3:41, the run out the clock, was tremendous to see. So we saw a lot of growth, maturity, kids understanding that you just play each play, and then you don't let the past affect the present, and things will go our way. And then our kids made it happen that way, and it was great to see.
We'll talk about that last defensive stand that we had as well, where Lebanon Valley had the ball at the Kings' 25-yard line. They had a 3rd and 13. And Jake Minetti came up huge with an interception that really helped save the game.
Yeah, we talked about, Jake was, because again, this is a team that wants to pound you, and then they lull you to sleep, and then they hit a big pass. So we kind of told Jake that, hey, your job is to defend that big pass. So you got to stay out of the run game. It's going to kind of a boring day for you, but your number is going to be called, and we need you to come through, and you will get an interception or possibly two, depending on how the situation works. So, Jake understood that. There were certain situations where Jake needed to be in the run game. The earlier 4th down and goal, he was involved, and he helped take the fullback out to get our linebackers to make that stop. And then he did center field, just like he talked about how he practiced all week, and he was right there on a pass we've seen in great position, as he's a very good center fielder. For us as a safety, went up, attacked the ball, and it was a huge play for us.
Well, after posting such a gutty win, what did you tell the team after the game?
We were very proud of them. I mean, again, because we were moving the ball really well. Things were going our way. Then things weren't going our way. But then our kids, like we always talk about, someone's got to rise up, put their foot in the ground, and get the momentum, and everything going back, our way from there. And then we saw that. And then again, when time to make plays and step up and stop them, and then be able to move the ball a little bit, and then we didn't punt it all in the first half, and then punted well in the second half. It was when your name's called, be able to rise up and take advantage of any and every opportunity when they come your way. So for our kids to do that, and then get a gritty win against, again, a MAC team that's tough, hard-nosed, physical football team, was a big win for us and a good win. I'm very proud of the kids for the way they played.
Looking ahead to this week's game, we have the task of taking on the defending MAC champion Albright College Lions on the road. I know last year's game up here was a tough one to swallow for you and the team, as we lost 28-38 and gave up a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown right before halftime. And then in the second half, we gave up another interception for a touchdown. So two big mistakes that really came back to hurt us.
Yeah, against, again, a quality opponent like Albright, like we talked to our kids about, is that, kings can't be kings. And, unfortunately last year, we did some really good things. We were playing well. We had some really, good things in that game, but then we made, the mistakes we made were catastrophic, against them, and they would have been catastrophic against anybody, let alone, Albright, who was very, very good. And they did what good teams do. They make you pay for those mistakes. So they get 2 pick sixes, and that's hard to overcome. Just 2 interceptions, 2 turnovers, let alone two non-offensive scores. So it was a little frustrating because we did some really good things in that game, but we kind of made catastrophic errors from there. So hopefully we've been talking to our kids about to learn from those things moving forward for this Saturday.
Well, Albright comes off a huge win themselves this past week, going down to 13th ranked Delaware Valley and knocking off the Aggies from the ranks of the unbeaten with a 20-17 win. Albright was down 10-7 at the half, but outscored Delaware Valley 13-7 in the second half, including the game-winning touchdown pass with 6 seconds left. You've had a chance to look at that game film, so what are you impressed about with Albright?
They're the usual Albright. They are, physical on defense. They run the ball well. They cover well. They come and play, and they're not intimidated by anybody. They respect everybody. And then they got after it, and they did a good job. Kind of taking the run game away from Del Val with those two tailbacks. They gave a couple plays with the quarterback with his feet, but they had really good job of controlling, some, playmakers that Del Val has as receivers from there, and it kind of just frustrated, Del Val, and then you could see in the game they really never got, in a rhythm, offensively. And then Albright's, offense, they're, that quarterback is, you don't contain him. He gets on the edge and can run around and, and make plays. And, they just kind of kept, chipping away and put some drives together, hit some big pass plays, and then, hit that big one at the end. So, they're a well-coached, physical, football team, but then they have some athletes. The receivers are athletic and can make plays. So they came to play and they played well, and their special teams have helped them. They had a start the game there with a kick return for a touchdown, and some other big plays in the special teams help them with field position was huge as well in that win.
The Kings offense is ranked 3rd in the MAC in total yards per game and 1st in the MAC in passing yards per game. But you've been wanting to get the running game on track to get a better balance, and the team responded with a season-high 157 yards on the ground last week. What was the difference in the running game?
Well, one, it was we were in the game, the context of the game and who we were playing. Unfortunately, in 2 of our first 3 games, the score dictated, we needed to throw it around the yard, and then our other opponent, it was tilted more towards pass than run. So here, this is again, Lev Val's defense was pretty balanced. You just can't do one thing. You got to have a combination if you're going to be successful against them. So it was a game that we knew that we had to get the run game going, and we were able to stay in the game to be able to get that going from there. And then our the line, they rose up to their challenges and worked their technique really well. Our 2 backs, Funk and Avante, ran extremely hard and showed great vision and things that we're seeing in practice, and we're able to implement it in the game, and then had success, and then again the score, and when we were in the game, we were able to stay with the run, and then our kids responded, very well, and that's great to see, and we got to be able to build off of that, moving forward.
The Albright defense is ranked 4th overall in the MAC, standing 1st against the pass and 3rd versus the run. What do they do well, and what does your team need to do to be successful?
They get after you. When they pressure, they come hard and can get in after the quarterback from that deal. They got some decent size, and then they run well, and they're athletic. So again, we have to have that balance and tempo. We're a tempo offense now, so we have to stay in rhythm and have a good tempo, because when we do that, then things go well for us. When we kind of have some unforced errors or we get off kilter a little bit, then then it grinds us to a halt from that deal. So we got to continue to build on the run game and have that balance that we need, but then just play with great tempo to get us into a rhythm to kind of hopefully keep them off balance.
Conversely, the Albright offense is 4th in the MAC in total yards. They're ranked third in passing yards and sixth in rushing yards. They always have speed at the skill positions, so talk about what they do offensively and what our defense needs to do in order to contain them.
Yeah, they still have speed. At the skill positions. They're big on the O-line. So we got to be physical, up front and play good sound defense to contain the run. That the running backs are very talented and runs hard with good vision, and then contain the quarterback, because when he gets outside the pocket, he can make some things happen. He scrambles around, buys time to throw the ball, or scrambles around and breaks contain and tucks it and runs. From there, and he's playing well. He's getting confidence the more he's played. I know he started as the backup. I think there was an injury to the starter, but this kid, he's 6'1", like 200 pounds. He's a good-looking, athletic, kid who does some good things. So we got to kind of, keep him in the pocket and not give him a lot of time to throw to, again, very talented, speedy, wide receivers that they have.
Finally, Coach, let's talk about senior linebacker Bobby Russell and what he has meant to the program. This past week, he was named the MAC Defensive Player of the Week on Sunday after posting 15 tackles, an interception, a forced fumble, and also made both tackles on those two critical fourth down attempts by Lebanon Valley that kept us in the game in the second half.
It's always good, when you go in recruiting and you see a kid of his caliber and you get that kid, and then what you see on high school film comes to fruition in college. Bobby was a top recruit for us, and he came in and he's been playing regularly since halfway through his freshman year, and he's only got better, and he's committed to the off season, in the weight room and getting himself bigger, faster, stronger. He understands our defense. So he's a great player, and that was evident in high school, and it's great to see when that develops that way. In college, when everyone knows about him, they got to try to find ways to defend Bobby from that deal, which gives opportunities for other people. The best thing about Bobby, though, is he's a great teammate. The kids love him. He's a two-time captain for us, which is outstanding. So he works hard to make sure, tries to get everybody to rise up to the level he's at. So then, because he knows that's going to make us as a better program. So he's done everything we've ever asked him to do, on the field, and then off the field. And it's great to see him run around and play and then kind of have a breakout game, because it's hard sometimes when everyone knows who you are and everyone has people trying to come after you. Sometimes you can get lost in the shuffle. But he just kept playing and understands if two guys want to block in, that means somebody else is possibly free or a one-on-one to make a play. So he's very an unselfish player, and it was great to see though him kind of dominate and do those things that he's done and have a huge game Saturday. And he's having a great season, and hopefully this will even lead to bigger and better things for him with the rest of the year coming up.
Well, Coach, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for your time, and good luck to you and the Monarchs on Saturday when you travel to Albright College for a 1 p.m. kickoff.
All right, thank you.